It was a chilly autumn night, and I found myself driving home from work on a lonely stretch of road. The clock had struck midnight, and I was tired after a long day at the office. The road ahead was illuminated only by my car's headlights, casting eerie shadows on the surrounding trees. As I drove, a sense of unease began to settle in. The road seemed unusually deserted, devoid of any other vehicles. The only sounds were the hum of the engine and the soft rustling of leaves in the wind. The radio crackled sporadically, playing static-filled tunes that sent shivers down my spine. My tired eyes strained to stay open, but the darkness outside seemed to be closing in. The branches of the trees loomed over the road like gnarled fingers, and every now and then I thought I caught a glimpse of something moving just beyond the edge of the light. A sudden movement caught my attention in the rearview mirror. My heart skipped a beat as I saw a fleeting figure standing on the side of the road, bathed in the glow of my taillights. I shook my head, chiding myself for my overactive imagination. It was probably just a trick of the light, a play of shadows. But as I continued driving, that uneasy feeling persisted. The road seemed to stretch on endlessly, and every turn I took only led to more darkness. I glanced at the GPS on my dashboard, and my heart sank as I realized I had somehow strayed off my usual route. The GPS showed no signs of life nearby, no towns, no landmarks, just an expanse of black. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted a flicker of movement once again. This time, it wasn't just a glimpse. It was a figure, unmistakably humanoid, pacing along the side of the road. A hitchhiker, perhaps. But who would be out here in the dead of night? As I approached the figure, I could make out more details. It was a woman, dressed in a tattered white gown. Her hair obscured her face, and her arms hung limply at her sides. Panic seized me, and my foot instinctively eased off the gas pedal. Should I stop? Should I offer help? But a chill ran down my spine as I remembered a local legend I had heard years ago. The tale of a ghostly hitchhiker who roamed these very roads, seeking a ride that would never reach its destination. My heart pounded in my chest as I sped up, my rational mind warring with the primal fear that was coursing through my veins. As I glanced in my rearview mirror again, the woman was no longer on the side of the road. She was now standing directly in the middle of the lane, her head still bowed. My heart raced, and I slammed on the brakes, swerving to avoid her. My tires screeched against the asphalt as I veered off the road and into the brush. My heart raced, my breathing ragged. I sat there for a moment, my hands trembling on the steering wheel. When I finally mustered the courage to look back, the woman was nowhere to be seen. Shaken to my core, I slowly maneuvered my car back onto the road and continued my journey home. The rest of the drive was a blur, the shadows seeming to dance and twist in the corners of my vision. When I finally pulled into my driveway, I let out a sigh of relief, my body still tense from the ordeal. I rushed into my house, locking the door behind me. As I collapsed onto my couch, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had narrowly escaped something truly sinister on that desolate road. And even though I was safe within my home, the image of the woman in the tattered white gown would haunt my dreams for nights to come. It was the height of summer, and the neighborhood hummed with the gentle hum of cicadas. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in a tapestry of warm oranges and purples. With school out and adventure on our minds, my friends and I were on the lookout for a thrill to spice up our summer nights. Our choice? A classic round of ding-dong ditching. The target of our mischief was the mysterious old house at the end of the street. It stood out like a relic from the past, its faded paint and overgrown bushes giving it an air of desolation. With suppressed excitement, we tiptoed up to the front porch, stifling giggles as we pressed the doorbell and dashed behind a cluster of bushes. Anticipation filled the air, hearts thumping loudly in our chests as we watched and waited. The seconds ticked by like an eternity, and then, a faint creaking reached our ears, the sound of the door slowly swinging open. Grins spread across our faces as we exchanged triumphant glances, unable to contain our glee. We watched from our hiding spot as the door stood ajar, a muted light spilling out onto the porch. The suspense was palpable, and our laughter bubbled up in hushed bursts. But as quickly as our triumph emerged, it faded into a mix of anxiety and unease. A shadowy figure stepped into the doorway. Our laughter caught in our throats, and our elation morphed into dread. The figure's silhouette was indistinct, but the sensation of being watched settled heavily on our shoulders. A shiver ran down my spine as I exchanged wide-eyed glances with my friends. Without speaking, we turned and began walking briskly back down the street, our previous excitement now replaced by a chilling sense of vulnerability. The sound of footsteps reached our ears, quick and purposeful, and my heart pounded even faster. We quickened our pace, the thrill of the prank now overshadowed by something far more sinister. I could feel the presence behind us, a lurking sensation that twisted my stomach into knots. Glancing over my shoulder, I caught a glimpse of the figure, a tall, shadowy form moving steadily closer. Panic surged through me, my breath coming in ragged gasps as I urged my friends to hurry. As we reached my house, relief washed over us. We practically slammed the front door shut, locking it with trembling hands. Peering out the window, our hearts raced as we watched the figure draw near, their movements deliberate and purposeful. They paused for a moment, gazing directly at my house, and I felt a chill run down my spine as if they could see right through the walls. It wasn't long before a loud crash shattered the silence, and we jumped in terror. The figure was attempting to force their way inside. Panic and adrenaline surged through us as we stumbled back, our minds racing to comprehend the danger we were in. One of my friends dialed 911, her voice shaking as she explained the situation to the operator. As we waited for the police to arrive, we huddled together in the hallway, the tension in the air thick enough to cut with a knife. Minutes dragged on, each second feeling like an eternity, until finally, the wailing sirens echoed through the night. The flashing blue and red lights painted an eerie scene outside, casting a surreal glow on the world around us. The officers arrived swiftly, confronting the intruder outside my house. From our vantage point, we watched as they engaged in a tense conversation. It was then that we learned the chilling truth. The man was the owner of the house we had pranked. Our seemingly harmless fun had struck a nerve, pushing him over the edge and fueling a desperate need to confront us. As the police questioned the man, they discovered his isolation and the emotional turmoil he had been experiencing. Our prank had been the final straw, a catalyst for his unraveling mental state. His intentions, while undoubtedly alarming, were rooted in a complex web of frustration and desperation. Our parents arrived, their faces a mixture of concern and relief. They embraced us tightly, their worry evident in their eyes. It was a sobering moment, the realization that our thoughtless actions had set off a chain of events with far-reaching consequences. In the end, the intruder was taken into custody, his actions prompting an introspective discussion within our group. The lesson we took away from that night was a heavy one, that even the most innocent-seeming actions could have grave consequences. Our summer nights would never be the same, forever haunted by the specter of that. My story is a bit different from the others you might hear, but I'm going to explain everything to the best of my ability. I promise everything in this story is true, and if you don't believe me, then you should go camping deep in the mountains yourself anyways. Here's my story. My name is Alex, and me and my friends, I'll call them Jake, Ethan, Hannah, Emma, Lily, had a terrible camping experience. First, for a little background, most of us grew up together and we was all basically couples. I was dating Hannah. Jake and Emma was together, and Lily and Ethan had a crush on each other. They were just trying to figure things out. And one of the reasons why we went camping in the first place is for them to hang out together, mainly because Ethan was always shy on making a move on her. So we have this lake called High Splint Lake. Not many people camps there, so we would have the isolation that we wanted, but could also fish and enjoy ourselves without any issues. Only if that was true. Anyway, to start the day off, it went well. We was all talking, setting up the tents, building the campfire, typical camping stuff. Then night start to roll around. I would say it was about 9 p.m. Unfortunately, there was someone else camping across from us, which wasn't uncommon for someone to be camping here. Getting later into the night, around 11 p.m., the campers left saying they heard something in the mountains and warned us about it being a bear possibly. We brushed it off and went on with our night dancing and signing around the campfire. And once again, Ethan would be shy and not even talk to Lily in return. Confused Lily when he done this. Anyways, my girlfriend Hannah talked and to reassure Lily. Why I talked to Ethan personally, me and Ethan walked off, started talking, then all of a sudden, Emma and Jake said they felt like we was being watched. Once again, we brushed it off, but I kept my guard up. The night continued to about 1 a.m. Then you would hear trees fall. Not small trees, like larger trees. Then after about 20 minutes, it went quiet for a while, and crazy enough, a cop car came to the lake and shined his spotlight in the mountains. Then left. He didn't even see all of us on top of the hill at the lake. It was weird that a cop showed up, but nothing to off, as you could hear dogs barking a lot that night. So it was probably just people reporting noises and such. However, about 20 minutes after the cop left, almost everyone got the felling. We were being watched, me, Jake, and Emma. So happened to look at the area where we thought. That's when I saw it. A tall, shadowy figure. It was very tall, like way taller than the average human, looked around 8 feet. Then it moved in large steps, not running like a walk. But its long legs moved far just by walking. It walked across the tracks below the hill. Then it stopped again and stood there for about 10, 15 seconds. Everyone was spooked in fear. Then it just went back up in the mountains. The scary part about it, before it went back up in the mountains, you could see these white, greenish, growly, dim eyes. Afterwards, you would hear these howls, but not like a dog or wolf, a consistent high-pitched sound, and it was Coyote's Ethie. We all panicked, rushing and grabbing our stuff. Stupidly enough, we just waited in the car. We didn't leave. We waited. Then, strangely enough, the cop car returned, made a stop below the hill, then left. After he left, 2 more cop cars was seen passing on the highway. Not only was a car went on the bridge and cut off its headlights and went up in the headlights, so we don't know if the cops was after them or after what we saw. As expected, we left after that and went home. We couldn't bear to stay there anymore, and all of it was unexplainable. The figure and the noises, the car being shady, all of it. Jake and Emma thought what we saw was a skinwalker. However, I believe we might have actually seen a Bigfoot or something way more sinister. I've always wanted something unexplainable to happen to me, and I got exactly what I asked for that night. If anyone knows anything similar or experience anything familiar, let me know. The mountains hold many secrets. Regardless, we won't be going camping again for the year. And as far as Lily and Ethan goes, I hope Ethan steps his game up, and I hope we never see or experience anything like that again.